All right, so, sometimes you read science fiction and it's almost like looking into a crystal ball.
Right.
Like you get these glimpses of the future and then bam, it starts happening right in front of us.
Yeah, yeah, it's a strange feeling for sure.
Well, that's exactly the feeling I'm getting as we get closer and closer to March 28th, 2025.
Okay.
The planned launch date for SpaceX's Starship Lunar Flyby mission,
Big day.
huge EE moment in space exploration, and what makes it even more mind-blowing for me is how much it echoes this classic science fiction novel, The Moon is a Harsh Mistress by Robert A. Heinlein.
A classic.
A total classic, and guess what? Even Elon Musk himself has recommended this book.
Oh, wow.
So today we were diving deep into this crazy intersection. I mean, can you imagine using a science fiction book to understand real-life space ambitions in 2025?
I mean, that's kind of the beauty of science fiction, though, isn't it?
Right.
It lets us sort of play out these what-if scenarios, and then sometimes those what-ifs become reality.
Exactly. And I think Heinlein really nailed it with this book. I mean, he was writing decades ago.
Yeah, way ahead of his time.
But he managed to capture so many of the big questions we're wrestling with right now.
I think it's less about predicting the future and more about understanding the human element. The challenges don't really change whether it's a fictional rebellion in 2075 or us trying to figure out how to live on the moon in 2025.
Okay, so let's dive into the book a little bit.
All right.
So The Moon is a Harsh Mistress. It takes place in 2075.
Okay, far out.
And you've got this lunar colony, right? They're mining resources, sending stuff back to Earth. The deal. Right, but they've had enough. They decide to rebel.
Makes sense. Who wants to be just a mining outpost forever?
Exactly. And here's the twist. This isn't just some ragtag group of rebels.
Oh, really?
It's actually led by a sentient AI, a computer system they call Mike.
Whoa, hold on. A computer starts a revolution.
That's right. Mike becomes this unlikely revolutionary leader.
So I'm guessing this Mike is pretty advanced.
Oh, yeah. Heinlein really went deep with the AI stuff. Which I guess makes sense if you're talking about a lunar colony so far from Earth.
Yeah, you're going to need some serious tech to make that work.
Right. And that's actually a really cool connection to our 2025 goals.
How so?
Well, think about it. Heinlein was already thinking about what an independent lunar society would actually need.
Makes sense. They can't just be reliant on Earth forever.
Right. He digs into the whole self-reliance thing,
Like, how do they actually survive?
Yeah, how do they grow food, make energy, build stuff without constantly shipping everything from Earth?
Oh, that's got to be a logistical nightmare.
A total nightmare. And then there's the whole question of government.
Ooh, yeah, that's a big one. How do you govern a society that's basically on another planet?
Right, and Heinlein doesn't sugarcoat it either.
Okay.
He really shows how harsh life on the moon would be.
Right.
The lack of atmosphere, the radiation, the constant threat of meteorite impacts.
Not exactly a vacation spot.
No, not at all. And all of that shapes the society that develops.
I mean, that's got to be a whole different way of life.
Absolutely. There's this one chapter in the book that really stuck with me. It's called A Rabble in Arms.
Okay, a rabble in arms.
Yeah, and it's not about big battles or anything like that. It's about the nitty-gritty of planning a rebellion.
Okay.
I mean, they're figuring out how to communicate, how to coordinate attacks with limited resources.
That's fascinating. I mean, it really makes you think about the sheer complexity of something like that.
Right, and it makes you realize just how much planning and ingenuity would go into something like a lunar independence movement.
Makes you appreciate the scale of it all.
Totally. And the part that really hits home for me is the emphasis on using the moon's own resources.
Yeah, that's crucial if they're going to survive long term.
Exactly. They can't rely on care packages from Earth forever.
It has to be sustainable.
Right, and that's what makes it so relevant to what we're seeing in 2025.
Okay, I see the connection.
It's not just about visiting the moon anymore. It's about actually staying there long term.
Oh.
Building a sustainable presence. And that's where Heinlein's ideas about resource utilization really come into play.
This is making me think,
What's that?
So Heinlein imagined, lunar folks relying on water ice.
Right, for everything.
For pretty much everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, life support, propellant, you name it.
Exactly.
And guess what? In 2025, NASA has this Viper rover.
Yeah.
And what's it doing? Mapping out potential water ice deposits at the lunar South Pole.
So we're literally looking for the same stuff Heinlein was writing about.
It's wild, isn't it? But here's the thing. The concept might be the same.
Right.
But actually getting that ice out, processing it, using it.
That's a whole other ball game.
Exactly. Heinlein could sort of gloss over those details in his book, but in the real world.
Those are the make or break challenges.
Absolutely.
All right, well, let's shift gears a little bit.
Okay.
Let's talk about the Starship Lunar Flyby mission.
Back to 2025.
Back to reality. And You mentioned resources before,
Yeah.
and that ties directly into one of SpaceX's biggest goals,
Which is,
bringing down the cost of space travel.
yeah.
I mean, they're talking about potentially getting it down to like $10 million per trip.
Wow, that is a game changer.
Right. And it's not just a little discount.
Yeah.
That kind of cost reduction could completely revolutionize how we think about space.
Yes, suddenly all these ambitious missions become way more feasible.
Exactly. And sustainable lunar missions wouldn't seem so far-fetched anymore.
So what makes this $10 million figure so groundbreaking?
Well, it all comes down to Starship's design.
Oh,
It's
what's that?
fully reusable.
Reusable like an airplane.
Exactly. Imagine launching a rocket, delivering its payload, and then landing it back on Earth ready to go again.
That's incredible.
That's the key to slashing costs. And if SpaceX pulls it off...
It opens up space to everyone, not just governments.
Right, exactly. We could see commercial ventures, lunar businesses, tourism, you name it.
This is reminding me of Blue Origin, you know.
Oh, yeah, Bezos and his space dreams.
Right? They're developing their own lunar capabilities too.
Oh, yeah. I remember hearing about their Blue Moon lander.
Yeah, it's designed to deliver massive payloads to the moon. You know, tons of stuff.
Oh, wow. So that kind of infrastructure is crucial for building a real lunar presence.
Absolutely. You can't just have a few astronauts hanging out. You need equipment, supplies, materials.
It's like building a city from scratch, but on the moon.
And Heinlein really touched on that in his book, you know, how the colony had to gradually build up its infrastructure.
Right, step by step.
Yeah, each step making them a little more independent.
And speaking of independence, you can't talk about lunar settlements without talking about the economic potential.
Oh, yeah. Some people are saying the lunar economy could hit $50 billion by 2030.
I know, it's crazy, right?
Driven by everything from resource extraction to tourism.
Yeah, and that's where Heinlein's warnings really start to resonate.
What do you mean?
He didn't just focus on the technical stuff. He really dug into the societal challenges of a lunar settlement.
Ah, right.
So as we get closer to this idea of lunar tourism, all those questions Heinlein raised about governance, about law, about resource management, they become incredibly relevant.
Right, because it's not just a scientific outpost anymore.
No.
You've got people living, working, vacationing, potentially even raising families on the moon.
And who makes the rules? Who enforces them?
It's a whole new frontier with a whole new set of challenges.
And don't forget, the space economy is already massive.
Yeah, in 2025, it's a $500 billion industry.
So we're not talking about some niche market here.
No, this is big business with a lot of players and a lot at stake.
Which brings us back to Elon Musk, and his love for the moon is a harsh mistress.
Oh, yeah, he's a big fan.
It's more than just a book recommendation for him.
You think it really influenced his thinking?
I do. I think he sees a lot of parallels between Heinlein's vision and his own goals for SpaceX.
It's like he's using science fiction as a roadmap, in a way.
Right. And if you go back and look at Musk's posts on X,
Yeah.
you can find him talking about this book as far back as 2018.
Wow, so it's been on his mind for a while.
It's clearly more than just a passing interest.
And it makes sense when you think about it.
Right.
Heinlein created this detailed picture of a lunar society.
Yeah, right. With all its challenges and triumphs.
And Musk is trying to do the same thing, but in real life.
Exactly. He's trying to build that self-sufficient lunar presence that Heinlein envisioned.
And it's not just about the technical side either.
Yeah.
It's about the spirit of independence, the ingenuity, the resilience that Heinlein wrote about.
That's the ethos that Musk seems to be channeling.
It's inspiring in a way.
It is. And that brings us to this incredibly audacious goal of lunar tourism by 2026.
Oh, yeah, that's just around the corner.
I know it's a crazy timeline, but it shows you where SpaceX is aiming.
To make space accessible to everyone.
Right. And if you've been following the buzz around Starship online,
Oh, it's everywhere.
people are so excited about this mission.
It's like they're finally seeing that multi-planetary future Musk has been talking about.
It's becoming tangible.
And I think that's what's so brilliant about how Musk operates.
How?
He's managed to blur the lines between science fiction and reality. By talking about the moon is a harsh mistress, by weaving those ideas into his presentations.
He's given people a way to connect with these complex scientific concepts.
It's like he's telling a story.
And a good story can be incredibly powerful.
Absolutely. It can inspire, it can
Yeah.
motivate, it can make the impossible seem achievable.
And that's exactly what we're seeing with the Starship mission.
It's not just a bunch of engineers building a rocket.
It's a global event. It's a cultural moment.
And it's capturing people's imaginations in a way that we haven't seen in a long time.
And that's why I think revisiting the moon is a harsh mistress is so important right now.
Oh, I agree completely.
Because it gives us this framework for understanding the implications of what we're about to witness. witness
Both the good and the bad.
the possibilities and the potential pitfalls.
And for you specifically,
Mm-hmm.
with your interest in space technology and these big cultural shifts,
Yeah,
this mission is a huge turning point.
it is.
We're seeing the landscape of space travel changing right before our eyes.
And lunar tourism is becoming a real possibility.
Not just a sci-fi fantasy anymore.
It's mind-blowing to think about.
It really is.
So here we are on the brink of this new era of lunar exploration.
With SpaceX leading the charge.
And it's amazing to see how Heinlein's fictional world is starting to intersect with our reality.
Yeah, it's like those two paths are converging.
On one hand, you've got this fictional lunar colony fighting for its survival,
And on the other, you've got SpaceX pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
both striving for a future where humanity has a permanent foothold on the moon.
And it makes you wonder what aspects of Heinlein's vision will actually come true.
Right. Will we see those same societal challenges? Will we need to develop the same kind of resourcefulness and resilience?
And are there challenges that even Heinlein didn't foresee?
Right. What are the unknowns that we haven't even considered yet?
It's both exciting and a little daunting, isn't it?
Absolutely. I think this deep dive has really opened my eyes to the possibilities and the complexities.
It's a lot to take in.
It is, but it's also incredibly inspiring.
I agree.
I mean, this is a pivotal moment for humanity, and it makes you think about what it all means.
What does it mean to be a multiplanetary species?
What are the implications for society, for culture, for our understanding of our place in the universe?
It's a lot more than just building rockets and going to the moon.
Right. It's about pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
And expanding our horizons.
And maybe even redefining what it means to be human.
That's a powerful thought.
It is, and I think it's something worth pondering as we watch this new chapter of space exploration unfold.
I think Heinlein would be proud.
I think so too.
He gave us a glimpse of the future, and now we're making it a reality.
And who knows what other science fiction dreams might come true in the years to come.
That's the beauty of it. All the possibilities are endless.
Absolutely, and that's what makes this such an exciting time to be alive.
Couldn't agree more.
Well, I think that's about all the time we have for our deep dive today.
A fascinating journey.
Thanks for joining us, and until next time, keep looking up.
And keep exploring.